Elly De La Cruz has been one of the more hyped up prospects that has made his way through the baseball world in the last couple of years, with good reason. If you were to create a baseball player in a lab, he would be a great template. He hits for power, he has incredible speed being in the 99th percentile, he has a great arm in the 91st percentile, he is also a switch hitter, and he has gotten off to a great start in 2024 and could potentially have a record-breaking season if he keeps it up. You probably heard of a guy named Ricky Henderson before. I'm talking those type of numbers. And I think his hot start has surprised some people, especially those who haven't bought into the Elly hype train yet, especially with how last season ended. But I am all aboard that train. I might have even applied to be the conductor of that train, because if you take a look at what Elly has done prior to getting to the majors, you can definitely see why he was hyped up so much. Elly signed with the Reds in 2018 as an international free agent, and he had his first taste of pro ball in 2019 when he was just 17 years old in rookie ball. That year, he would have an OPS just above 700, hitting only 1 home run and stealing 3 bases in just under 200 at-bats. The next year was 2020, which was the COVID year, so there were no minor leagues, but in 2021, he showed improvement to the power across rookie and A-ball. He had 8 bombs with 10 stolen bases with an OPS of 874. Starting to get a bit serious, and he's only 19 at this time. 2022 is where Elly would really start to gather some hype, and across high A and double A, Elly would have a slash line of 304 with a 359 on base and a 586 slugging for an OPS of 945. Not only was that a great slash line, but this is where we would really start to see that great power and speed combination, where he had 28 homers with 47 stolen bases, giving us a glimpse of what he could potentially do in the future. In 2023, he would start his year in double A and perform even better. Across 158 at-bats, he would slash 297 with a 398 on base and a 633 slugging for an OPS of 1031, and that was good enough to get him the call to the bigs. Everybody was super hyped about Elly De La Cruz making his major league debut. We'd all seen what he did in the minors and realized he could be something special that we don't see very often. And on June 6th of last year, he would make that major league debut and go 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored and 2 walks. This would help his Reds to a 1-run victory. And the very next day, Elly De La Cruz would hit his first career home run. These first 2 games were exactly what baseball fans were hoping to see. Fast forward a couple weeks to June 23rd. The Reds were just starting a series against the NL East leaders in the Atlanta Braves. Elly would get his first at bat in the second inning, where he would rope this double at 116.6 miles per hour. That would only be the beginning of this game for him. In the third inning, Elly would go yard in his second at bat to get the Reds within 1 run. And his very next at bat, he hit a single. So he's already 3 for 3 with a triple away from the cycle. Do you want to guess what he did in his fourth at bat? That's right, he hit the triple. And I know you MLB The Show players are having flashbacks right now. Elly De La Cruz would hit for the cycle in just his 15th major league game. And at 21 years old, this would make him the youngest player to hit for the cycle since 1972, when Cesar Cedeno did it for the Astros. I think it was safe to say at this point, Elly De La Cruz was living up to the hype. I was even trying to get tickets to see him in Kansas City. And if I was partnered with SeatGeek, this is where I talk about it. However, that hype would be short-lived. The league would start to figure him out very soon, and after his hot start in June, where he would have an OPS of 881 with 3 homers and 9 stolen bases, we would see that OPS drop every month for the rest of the year, resulting in a 710 OPS and an 88 OPS plus to finish the year, hitting 13 homers and stealing 35 bases. All in all, it was a very solid rookie year, and he would finish 7th in the Rookie of the Year voting. But how he started this year left us all wanting more. And that would be a light way to put it for some. Even some articles came out at the end of last year claiming that Elly De La Cruz was a massive bust, which is totally unfair. The kid was 21 years old in his rookie year and had shown us what he's capable of. This just happened to be the first time in his professional career that he struggled. He got better at every stop in the minors and looked ready. It seems like we have grown to expect young phenoms to come up and never miss a beat, especially with all the young talent that has come up to the bigs lately and have taken the league by storm. I'm talking about guys like Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna. They just never stopped once they got to the majors, and it seems like they're not going to stop anytime soon. And more recently, guys like Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson. Speaking of Gunnar, he has taken the league by storm this year, but that may be for a future video. What I'm trying to say is that baseball is a tough game, and not every rookie comes up and is automatically going to just rake and never struggle. And Elly is just 21 last year. He is just getting started and has plenty of time to figure it out and make the adjustments necessary. And entering this year, Elly De La Cruz was going to have every chance to make those adjustments. He knows he's going to be in the starting lineup this year, so this was his first full offseason knowing he's already on the big league club. And with the departure of Joey Votto, there is no clear face to the Reds franchise at this point. But we all know Elly has the tools necessary to become the face of not only the Reds, but one of the more prominent names in all of baseball. And to start off this year, Elly got off to an okay start. Through his first 8 games, he was sitting at a 722 OPS, but he had not hit a homer yet, and he had struck out 15 times in 31 at-bats. But he did steal 5 bases. He's most likely always going to strike out at a high clip, but 50% is way too high, although it was a very short sample size. So I wouldn't be surprised if people were a little bit nervous about this start with the way last year ended. But the very next day, Elly would start to turn this season around. On April 8th, he went 3 for 4 with 2 bombs and 4 runs scored. And over the next 17 games, including that 2-homer performance, he slashed .333 with a .471 on base and a .759 slug for an OPS of 1230 with 7 bombs and 12 stolen bases. And he only struck out 15 times, which was as much as his first 8 games he played. And he almost walked as much as he struck out during this stretch, walking 14 times. Safe to say that he caught fire and he was looking like the player we all want him to be, hitting for power, stealing bases, just being an electric factory. Ever since that hot streak, he slowed down a little bit, but he's still having a great season. And at the time of recording, he's hitting .256 with a .348 on base percentage and a .472 slugging for an OPS of 820 and an OPS plus of 130. Not only that, but the power and speed numbers have him on pace for something that hasn't been done since 1987. Right now, he is on pace for about 99 stolen bases. That is just an absurd amount of steals. And he's already almost at his previous season's total of 35, and he has less than half the at-bats that he did it last year at this point in 2024. Last year's stolen base leader was Ronald Acuna Jr., and he stole 73 bases. Elly is on pace for way more than that, and I don't even remember the last time someone stole 80 bases off the top of my head. And that's because I wasn't even alive at the time it happened. Vince Coleman was the last player to do that in 1988 for the St. Louis Cardinals, where he stole 81 bags. And the last person to steal 90 bases in the season was just some random Yankee in 1988 named Ricky Henderson, who stole 93 bags that year. That guy definitely didn't go on to have other years with ridiculous steal totals. He definitely wasn't the stolen base champion. He definitely wasn't a Hall of Famer. And he definitely didn't have many other seasons where he stole 100 plus bags. Relax, guys and girls. I'm just kidding. Working on becoming a stand-up comedian on the side, and I think I'll be ready to go on stage by the time Elly De La Cruz retires. So Elly is on a pretty historic pace when it comes to the speed department. But what about when you add the kind of power that he is displaying right now? We all saw Ronald Acuna Jr. create the 40-70 club last year when he had 41 bombs and stole 73 bases. He was the first player ever to reach that specific club, as well as a 30-60 club. What kind of clubs could Elly De La Cruz create if he stays on this type of pace? Right now, Elly's on pace to hit almost exactly 30 home runs. There have only been 3 seasons in the history of baseball where a player has hit more than 20 home runs in a season and has also stolen 80 or more bases. Ricky Henderson did it in 1985 with the Yankees. He had 24 bombs and stole exactly 80 bases. He did it again the following season with 28 bombs and 87 stolen bases. And former Red Eric Davis also did it in 1986 with 27 homers and 80 stolen bases. Some pretty good company right there. Anytime your name is right next to Ricky Henderson's, that's a pretty good season. Let's take it a step further to 90 steals. There have only been 3 players in baseball history to hit double-digit home runs and also steal 90 bases. That was Tim Raines in 1983, hitting 11 homers and stealing exactly 90 bags, and Harry Stovey did it way back in 1890 with 12 homers and 97 stolen bases. I think it's safe to say that no one alive now witnessed that. However, if you are still alive and witnessed that, please drop your skincare routine down in the comments. Trying to stay young. And the third person to do this was Ricky Henderson in 1982, hitting 10 homers and stealing 130 bases. This is also the only season in baseball history where a player would hit 10 or more home runs and steal over 100 bags. So right there are several clubs that Elly De La Cruz could be the founder of. He's on pace for about 30 bombs, so the 30-80 club is very well in play. He would be the first player ever in history to break the 20-90 club and the 30-90 club if he were to keep pace. He would also be the founder of the 30-100 club, which is almost exactly what he's on pace for. And just to put this all in perspective, for Ronald Acuna Jr.'s 40-70 season last year, through his first 49 games of the year, he had 11 homers and 22 stolen bases. Elly is far beyond him in the steals at this point, and is just 2 behind him in homers. Ronald went nuts at the end of last year to get to 40 bombs, so it could even be possible that Elly catches fire and gets to 35, maybe even 40 homers. Who knows? That would be a very big stretch, but you know, it's possible. We see crazy things happen all the time in baseball. We just really need Elly De La Cruz to be healthy and stay healthy for the full year. And what's crazy is that this would be his first full season in the majors. We could be witnessing a season for the history books, and it's his first full year. And he's only 22 years old right now. He could have so many more good years ahead of him, and he could keep getting better and better. Elly De La Cruz is a very special player, and we could be witnessing the beginning of not only a very historic season, but a historic career. It is just a great time to be a baseball fan.